I managed to get 5 wires in through that with that cable puller. Yeah, that butter stuff worked really well. Some of these are going to be going on top of the water tanks. Tell me what level they are, so they're going to go to level sensors up front, hence why we need some of those wires. Also for the hot water system, so this is the cabling for that goes onto the pump, all the controller and stuff built into it. We have the external controller here, but I want that on that side. There's a remote. I want that on the sidewall up front. So now I need to figure out where I'm going to put the pump under there and then try and feed this up to where that fuse box will be near the front. I can take power from here, but since I'm going that way for the controller, I might as well take everything there. But all depends how much extension I need to put on there. Line's already fused, so we can put that onto a live anywhere. As long as we get to the controller, we can manage when we don't want the hot water to come on. Right, so I'm kind of done in here for the minute. I'm just going to go up, figure out where that hot water system is going to go, find the place for it, see if I need to make a shelf for just a box to contain it in. We won't know until we see it, so let's go up. So we're up in the air. This is where our 2 hoses are going to come down. So naturally I want to be somewhere around here for the water heater, so it's close to the water. Just looking up here, I can see where I've put the original riv nuts in for the front part of that sleeping area. So we know kind of where we finish with there. Over in this gap is going to be our waste tank. So it's going to be hard to take the electrics from underneath the waste tank. I think the fuse box is going to be kind of next to this box. So, which is making that difficult to go there, electrics there. So getting the power from the back is going to be easier. But then for the controller, we're going to have to possibly take the wiring. I don't want to take the wiring from the inside because I'm either going to have to go under the shower or into the upper sill panel here, which means it might make it difficult for me to try and weave anything through it, because it's going to have a plug on the end of it to go to the controller. It's almost impossible to try and take that through 25mm conduit. That's pretty much the size of it. Right, I think I'll put this together with a bracket, put the bracket on there, find where that might work, and then kind of work backwards from there, because I still need to get the fuel pump in there, I still need to get fuel lines to this, down to the fuel tank. So the waste tank's an obstruction, but it looks like we could go around it because the waste tank's only going to be in the centre here. So I might be able to go behind, probably not that far, and then up. But then we've got to contend with heat from the exhaust of whatever we put under there. As you can see, this handbrake cable's already got a heat shield on it to protect it. So whatever we put here, we have to be mindful that we are going to have some heat here. So what's our fuse box this side, so it's pointless trying to go to this side. I've also got a step to go in here, so when you open the door, a step will drop out. So I still have to manage electrics for that as well, which looks like we can come down this side and kind of head into the back fuse box, or we've got the batteries in here, so we could even go either around the back of this box and in or through it. But we haven't got to the step yet. Let's just try and work on the back area first. So my hoses come out here. I've just loosely put the bracket onto the pump so I can get an orientation of where I want it to go before I bolt it up. So this is like the air intake, this is the plug-in, this is the exhaust. Now if I have it here with my 2 outlets, there's quite a short reach to here, but then I have to incorporate the water pump, which makes it quite tight. So I'm going to go back to this beam. So really close to the handbrake. So I can take a 90 off there, come to the water pump, 90 the water pump up to the hoses. And then I can 90 this one to the other hose. I can stick some captive nuts in here. And at least I'll have a little bit more flexibility with the length of the hoses. And personally, I still don't think we've got enough coolant in the whole system, even when I fill the tank up. So this is, over here is going to be the waste tank, but I have to be mindful of the exhaust that's coming out of it. So I think this is far away enough. We're about 18 inches away of the exhaust coming out. If I do need to add a water tank, I still have space here. If I need more volume of water to warm up. Water pumps, rubber mounted, which is nice. I can stick a captive nut in there and bolt that in. Never fitted one, so it's all trial and error. Once I fit these in, what I may do is get some alley plate, just to drop down the side. So as we're driving, because it's outside now, just to stop any water and mud affecting it too much, just to protect it. But I think that is a good place to have it. So electrics, I think, will go to the back. So we can take power from the rear end. I still need to take power out of that box we made before. This one here, to take, because the 3 batteries are going to sit in there. I need to take power from that to the back so I can stick the Victron system on. And then also, once we've taken power out of here, we'll still need to go further forward to the main battery, which is here, just in front of the fuel tank, because that needs to go to the Victron as well. So that's going to send charge to the main unit, and then that will send feed into these batteries, also take feed out of these batteries to feed the entire system. So, a lot to do. Also, my plan is to get this air suspension working before next weekend as well. This doesn't have to work, but as long as I've got it in, it's another thing out of the way. Where I'm going, there's going to be showers and stuff there anyway, so there's no desperation of having a shower in there or getting a hot water system working. But I just want it in and out the way, and then we can move on to the next thing. Okay, let's start drilling, put some captive nuts on there, bolt this up. I'm just screwing this plate on at the moment. I've used these serrated washers on there because it's going to be hanging under the vehicle. I want to make sure these things aren't going to come loose. I was going to put Loctite in there, but I think it's going to get quite warm, so the Loctite's going to be ineffective. So these are shake-proof washers, so hopefully it'll keep it in place. When I bolt it up, I'm going to use the same ones again. This did come with bolts and fixings to go with it. So I've got some longer 6mm bolts there. They look like they're stainless as well, so they're all made for outdoors. Okay, so that's ready to go on. Right, grab some more washers. Okay, so that's fitted. That's not going anywhere. It feels really, really sturdy. Okay, so now it's time to put the water pump in a little bit further up. Okay, so this is on. This is rubber mounted, so hopefully it'll be reasonably quiet. There's no arrows on this to say whether it's which is in, which is out. I even looked in the manual. The manual's absolutely useless. So I had to get my power probe powered up because I had to look at the plug, which was red, which was black, so I know which one was live and earth. So I powered it up, and so this is where it's so like it's blowing out, but I could feel the air blowing out. But this is where it's going to pump out. And I've also put arrows up here for the 2 pipes that go into the tank. So the out will go to the right hand side here, and then it'll be fed from this. Now the pump says in and out on it, but they're facing the wrong way to where the pipes are facing. I think the reason it's that way is because I'll just show you here. Yeah, so it says out and in. So arrow this way, but this is facing the other way. So I think if you loosen this off, you can turn these around. The orientation for me is perfect, so I know what's happening, but at least it says out and in. So the out will come and go into, let's turn this around. So the out will come and go into this side of the pump, and then the pump will pump into this hose, and then it'll return back to here. On the back cover of this pump, there's a little plastic cover with 3 screws in there. So I managed to pop that off because I wanted to make sure this was waterproof, if there was a seal on there, because it didn't look like it. Opened it up, the entire electronics in there is filled with gel. So it is fully waterproof. I did put some silicone on the cover, put it back on just to stop water entering and sitting in there. But yeah, that's waterproof and it works. The kit came with loads of Jubilee clips and 90-degree bends, so you can do all the mods that you want. This just takes car hoses, just heater hoses, so we can just Jubilee clip the whole lot together. I still need to get a fuel line to this, but I said I'm not overly keen on getting this running. I just thought whilst we had this lying around on the floor, I can put it in this place. The ends are all capped, so nothing's going to get in there anyway. So as of right now, it's in. I'm going to leave it at that for a minute. I'm going to get the compressor, see where I'm going to mount that, because I do need the suspension working. Once I load the back up, I just want to get that back ride height just the same as the front. Okay, so off camera I did a few extra bits. I've made a partial box for the compressor. I've put some holes in it, put some extra holes in the other side. I'll explain that in a second. Right, so this is going to go up here into the box section. I've already put captive nuts in there. And on this side, and the reason we got extra holes on this side is because the brake pipe was in the way. I couldn't see it from the other side. So now when I drill this on the floor, I drilled the holes too high, so the pipe was in the way. So no biggie. I made this from galvanized steel. This was on rubber mounts. Took the rubber mounts off because this thing's not going to be running forever. It's only going to run briefly just for the suspension. So I've used some speed clips and some bolts, bolted it to this plate. That's going to go out there, out the way, and be protected from the weather as well, partially. And then we can run the plumbing to this from either side to get this to work. Okay, so I've just grabbed my snap-on jam pack. I've just plugged the compressor into it. There's a switch on the back. Let's press it and see what happens. Well, it's pretty noisy, as most compressors are. Very, very slight vibration going through the vehicle, but like I said, it's just filling up 2 tiny airbags. I can put up with the vibrations for 10-15 seconds without an issue. Okay, so now I need to get the pipes for the suspension airbags connected up to this hose, and then rewire the electrics eventually to a fuse box. Okay, so this is where I've got to. This was the gauge that came with it. The bracket was at 90 degrees up. I've hammered it flat and put it onto this. When the vehicle's going up, you can see the gauge from here, which isn't an issue. The hose was quite short, so it had to be somewhere close to this. Some people put this actually behind the cab. So a friend of mine's got a transit recovery. I noticed that his pump was behind his back seat, and he switched it on and off while he was there. He could see the gauge. But I want everything close to where it's going to work. So the shorter the hoses, the less time the compressor runs. I've got a perfect visual aid as it's going up, visually. Plus I can see the gauge, see what kind of pressure we've got in there. So I've just pushed one of the hoses in there, just used a pair of needle nose pliers, and this is where it comes out of the compressor. So I'm going to tee it off here. Thankfully they give you a load of bits and pieces for this. So I've got a T-piece, I've got a spare valve under the bottom of the springs. There's some 90 degrees that you could put under the bottom of the springs as well. We don't need those. We'll need the T-piece. So I'm just going to run this on the beam. Just going to cable tie the hoses on there once I've finished, and then just come to here. The wiring, I may end up putting just an on and off switch in this little cavity here, so I could just lean over, press it, see the gauge, watch it go up, and if need be I could reach inside and release the pressure to drop the suspension down. So for some reason they haven't got a valve on there to bleed the air out if you go too high, so it's all manual control, which is a bit annoying. But what I may do with this is later on at some point create another T-piece off this and bring like an airline adapter to the side, and then I could use like one of those curly hoses to do tyre pressures on there if one of them goes down. In my toolbox, I believe I've got one of those and it might work. So an adapter similar to that, where you can just put it onto the hose. I'm sure I had one that was push fit. As you can tell, this is my junk drawer. No, I thought I had one, but no. Yeah, and then if I put one of these on, I won't need a bleed off because I can use an airline, just trigger it and let the pressure out. Nope, failed in my demo on this one, sorry. I'm sure I'll find one somewhere. This kit came with a handy pair of cutters, so I can cut the hose down. So I kind of want it along in this corner roughly. Okay, so it's all cable tied, fixed in place. I was just going through my box over there with rubber hoses. I was going to slice a rubber hose, put this in there before I cable tied it, but this plastic is so tough and it's fixed to the beam. It's not going to vibrate anywhere. Well, I've got my battery back here. I'm just going to plug this back in and then we'll do a quick test to make sure it works. Yeah, we're getting some pressure in there. Well, the axle's already dropped, so I have no idea if it's lifting or not, but there's definitely a lot of pressure in there and the gauge is reading. Next door I've got some special spray to test for leaks. We use it on the MOT test for LPG cars looking for gas leaks. So I'm just going to come and just do a quick test, make sure we haven't got any issues with the lines, make sure there's no leaks. Okay, so I've sprayed the solution on there. It looks bubbly, but it comes out of the sprayer bubbly. But there's no evidence of a leak, even up here. So I'm quite confident that it's all good. I'm going to leave the pressure in there overnight and then see if it drops by morning. But as of now, I'm quite satisfied. So all I've got to do is decide how I'm going to wire this, fuse it, switch it. So whilst we're still under the van, there's still more stuff to do under there. Move on to the next thing. Right, Chinese diesel heater. So this is going to go under the van as well. Some people put it in, some people put it out. There's no real right or wrong way. As long as there's no fumes going inside your cabin, you'll be fine. Okay, so now we need to find a space for this. Find how I'm going to mount it. There seems to be some bolt holes in. Controller. No bracket. Shows a picture of a bracket. Well, in the picture, it's showing a bracket that should have been in here. There isn't one here. To be fair, this was only opened once, just to see what was in it. And oh, nothing's been moved out of it. Okay, looks like I need to do more work, make a plate. Okay, so I've just gone through the instructions there, have a quick brief. So this can live outside as well as inside. So most people put it inside. This plate is missing. Don't make any difference because it wouldn't have helped us for what we're going to do anyway. Right, I had some really high gauge steel, which is what I wanted to use anyway. So I've kind of made a partial box for it. It's it's not covering all of it, so we don't need to. So this is going to go underneath the van, this way, van facing forward that way. So the warm air is going to come in and get ducted into the van. This is going to be bolted to the bottom of the van. I've got the rubber there for a template, so we can cut the holes. And then that's round the bottom, just for some protection. So this will live in here. Just going to cut those holes out, and then I'll mount that to here, and then we'll stick it on the van. Okay, measure twice, cut once went a bit wrong. I drew a line there to drill in the centre of it, and then I ended up putting the template on the edge of the line instead of on the centre of the line. It's no big deal. There's enough strength in this to keep it going. What I've done is I've got a couple of washers, same thickness as the metal, just cut the corners out, drop them in the hole, and then I'll stick some washers on top of that and bolt it down. It happens. Okay, so I've only put 2 bolts in it for now, because I need to take it off so I can screw this up. So we've got this edge here. I want the hot air to just pass that edge so we can get the hose on there. So. Okay, right, so we've got our mark. I'll take this off, we'll come and drill some holes, put some captive nuts in there, and then bolt this back up. Well, after fitting it, it was really flimsy, so I went and made a brace on there, and while it was out, I've painted it, rebolted it back in. So now that's really, really good. Also notice that this end actually unscrews, so you can clean it or do whatever you've got to do. So what I might do is just drill a tiny little hole and stick a self-tapper in there just to stop that from unscrewing through vibrations. I'll probably stick a little plate here so we don't get dirt and debris filling up in here and then blowing it all into the cabin. I'll probably stick a little mesh filter in there as well, and then periodically clean that out. So most people put it inside, but the inside gets dusty, so you're just moving dust around all the time. I prefer it outside because I've made all this space inside to utilise, and I've got all this space outside which we can reutilise. So instead of having all this inside, you can clearly see we've used space out here that would have been taken up inside. I just need to make a little cover for this, stop any crap build up on it. So this is shielded, this is mostly shielded, I just need a shield for this one. The water pump is waterproof, so that's not an issue. The only thing is, if I end up going for a puddle, a deep puddle, it's going to ruin everything under here. So we'll have to avoid the puddles. So I've come in next day, compressor is still showing the same amount of air as we left it yesterday. So I'm confident that works. Right, we're going to bring it down. Now start getting all this panelling back on. So I've got the cables through that I need for now. So the panels are only clipped on, so if we need access again, we can just unclip those and get back in there. I'm running out of time, I'm going away in it, so I need to get some of that panelling on for the minute on this side. Let's get the roof done, get some insulation in there. Last year without insulation it was absolutely freezing in here, so aim is to get this insulated and covered so I can utilise it. So we're continuing with our insulation, so most of the ceiling's done now. to get my camera in there as well, I've had to drop half of this upper area here. I've glued on the holder for the actual rear view camera. We need to get some insulation up there. I want to get this panel off, but there's 2 more screws buried right in there behind here. So I may, to make life easy myself, I may put a small hole in there just to get to the screws. For the sake of 2 screws, taking the roof lining off is a bit of a pig of a job, to be fair. All this trim's got to come off, the handles have got to come off. For the fan, we've routed the electrics through this channel. I put it into a conduit, so that's ready for the fuse panel there. We're going to felt it up there, so that's done. We're going to put this backing board here. We're only going to felt this up to here because this is where the seating area finishes, and then the fridge and the units go there. We don't need that felted, it's just a waste of felt. Top bit's going to be, well, it's going to be a kitchen area, so this back bit's going to have probably a splashback. So I'll probably felt just up to where that starts, and then we can change the backing there. Up here, the panelling that we put up there, that won't be felted because I'm going to put some cupboards up there. Same on that side. So we'll probably panel it, no felt. The roof lining's going to have felt on there, and then that's going to be felted up to the end of that seating area. And we've also got the back doors to do as well. There, we had one broken panel, but I've got the same van in the lockup. I've got 2 of these vans. We went over to it, and it had board on there, and behind the board we had a brand new panel. So yeah, there's the broken one. We've got a replacement, so that saved me a lot of bother. We're going to felt those, insulate the doors and up the panels. This one here, I'm going to be putting the spare wheel on the back here, so I need a bracket from there to the top. I don't think I'm going to have time to do it before I go. We may have to fill that for now to insulate it, and then I can easily pull it back out later and then make the bracket and bolt it in. Right, making progress. I'm going to give Frank a hand now to do the rest of this insulation. Got most of my wires in there and some here. I said all these are removable, so we can always take those off and put further wiring in there if we need to, or plumbing, or whatever we're going to do. One thing I haven't done is I haven't filled the seal panels with insulation, and I'm not going to fill it either. These vans can be notorious for seals rotting out. I do a lot of welding on these. If it does break through, some of them have drain holes. If water gets in there, it will start to saturate the insulation, and then that will stop to rot it inside out. And then when it comes time to repair it, for example welding, you're just going to have a fire risk there. So they're not going to be filled. So the rest areas in now. We've just added these 2 extra battens on here, which were going to be added anyway. And now we've got this waterproof MDF to finish the back off. So when the mattress is put in, it's got something to rest against. And if I just quickly shut the door, you can just about see there's just enough gap in there to make it up with the MDF. Everything fits perfect. I had to really push that across because the insulation foam was a bit tight on there just to line the hole up. We haven't screwed it in place, so it's going to have to come back out because we're going to have to make a top for it and the cubby hole covers. So there's just 1 screw in there, 1 over there, just line that, and then 2 at the bottom here. So we know it's in the right place. We'll have to open these back up so we can stick the screws in there. It's going to be too loose. And there's the MDF cut. That has got a clean edge. It's got a rounded edge. 1 inch rounded. So rounded in. There you go. Just going to grab on the other side. And there we go. So that's going to be the backer for the mattress. Right, the unit's back out again. We've just put this temporary top off for the minute so that we've got a sleeping area for next week. We've cut the edge short, 8mm, so the centre is going to be cut out, but I'm going to make a different centre for this because it's going to be part of the table. These are going to be the cubby hole covers and the back area. The reason we've cut 8mm short is the panelling with the felt on it. When we panel the top, it's going to drop in and wedge behind here. The back end's got some acute angles on there, so we're just doing some small cuts to get that in and finish off. This is the top that I'm going to use on here. It's just that we're putting it temporarily on now, just so that I can use it. What's going to happen later is when we cut it to size, this is going to have this timber as framework on the inside, and then that's going to be insulated as a removable top. And once we put the framework in, it'll tie all these separate pieces together. This stuff's waterproof, green MDF. So I had it was given to me from the guys next door that were there before, so we're just utilising it. Right, Frank's going to do some cutting. Okay, that's just going to go in the edge. Okay, top's on now. We're going to take all the screws out, apart from the last one, we'll leave that in there. We had to take some of the insulation foam out so we can gain access to this, which is under here. So we have to take all of those out up to here. There's no reason to take that back off. It's very unlikely we'll even get it back in there with all this on there, so much MDF on there. Okay, so we're measuring the ply for the roof lining. Got a really weird shape from the roof to the sides and then down. It's going to be lattice work, a bit of patchwork, 1 panel on, 1 on top, 1 overlap. Hopefully it'll make sense. So we've got 2 boards cut, they're all drilled to where we want the screws to go in. We've also put this lip on there. See it there? An overlay. We've glued it and put staples in it as our clamp. It's just too thin to put screws in there, and it'll be there forever putting clamps on it. It's just a really good way of holding it there whilst the glue's going off. That's to mate the other one to the edge of it, because unfortunately nothing is even in here. As you can see, the battens are random places along with where the box sections are. So the first one's going to end up in the middle here somewhere. So instead of cutting the plywood short and trying to join them here and ending up with random pieces, you know, this stuff isn't cheap, so we try as much of it in one go as we can. So we've created this 8cm overlay. This is upside down at the moment, so once it goes in, this will be at the top within that insulation, and then this will butt up against it, and then we'll use screws to put it together. These are being covered at the moment because they need to come back down. I've got to decide where the spotlights are going to go, put wiring behind there. I've got these screw caps. I ordered these in light grey as opposed to dark grey, so that they'll have like a contrasting feel to them. And then we're using flat bottom screws there. Okay, close or neat. So we've screwed the holes in the places we want them. We've made sure that they don't go on top of any of the other screws that we've put in up here. So they will be measured out. So they're going to be slightly off, one here, and so on. Okay, so Frank's keen to get on. So we can roughly see where the side panels are going to join at the top, because we've got a curve in the wall and it touches this back panel here. So we're going to end up screwing it to here, and then it'll wedge itself up to the top bit. This is going to be felt and wrapped around, and so is this one, so they'll join quite well. In here, when we made the top to go on there, these bits, we've cut them 8mm short, so that the lip of the side panel sits on the inside behind these as a wedge, and then we'll wedge at the top, and then we'll only put screws in the centre. Both these sides are going to have cupboards up top anyway. We'll probably have a small kitchen one here that'll probably hang over the side of the door, and then we'll have some smaller ones above because the seating area is quite high, so we need quite shallow ones to go up there. but you know, at the end of the day, you still need storage, whether it's under or above. So we're going to utilise that space up there. You can see where we joined in the centre here. So we've joined across the ply we made as an overlap, and then we've got another one here. As you can see, it's an overlap about 4 centimetres, and then we can screw into it. So the next piece that we put in is only going to go up to about here, level with this, and then that's going to be a storage area as well. I'll probably put some doors on there. We'll do something up there. Like I said, I haven't felted the top. I just need to get the roof on so the insulation stays in place. We've run out of insulation, so I have to get some more tomorrow to finish off the top. Fill inside the sliding door and fill the back doors in there. Yeah, we just run out of fun. We've actually run out of time now, and we've run out of energy, motivation. Yeah, so we ran out of insulation, so we need to get some more so I can fill the rest of it, and then eventually, well, tomorrow now. We can get that in now, can't we? We can get that back in. Yeah, we can get that back in.
Get it in place.
Finish this. So we need to get the bed top on. So that's just done. The side panels go in after the unit's fitted. Once that's fitted, then we can get our final measurements so we can make the side panels. Right, a couple of days have gone by. Last thing we did was we panelled up the rear doors here. Ended up having to put some random clips in there because we ran out of proper clips for both doors. I need to order some of those or steal them out the other van that I have. Today's D-Day. I'm going away to Anglesey and I need this heater to work. I've plumbed the fuel line in and the fuel pump down to the tank, so the line's in. I've got the electrics off the top of it here running up the top. This is all temporary. The 2 holes we drilled for the heat exchanger pipes to go into this heater, I've just utilised them to get the electrics in. This one's for the compressor for the suspension, and this is the electrics for this heater. The tank we made is going to carry our batteries, which are here. Got 3 of them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run these in parallel, so we've still got continuous 12 volts. Going to run some power to the back of the camper. I've got some cable just to run some live to the fuse box. Only a couple. This is all temporary, so there's only a couple of things running off this, which is going to be the compressor and the heater, These 3 batteries should be enough to run that for a 2-day weekend, so we should be okay with that. So the plan is now to got some terminals here. I'm going to link these up, put some cabling on there. Now, to get heavy duty cabling for this to go to the Victron system is really expensive. Cheap solution is buy some jump cables. This is the cheapest way to be able to buy a red and black cable without spending a fortune, because this stuff is expensive per meter. I reckon if you buy 2 or 3 meters of red, that would be the cost of a pair of jump leads. You want some high amperage leads to go to your Victron system, because you can have all that solar and all that, and the thicker the wires, the more you can draw out and the more you can put back in. So these are the thick cables. How long are these? 5 meters, which is the length of my camper van. We're only going to be using the red one to come from the battery all the way to the back, and then we're going to use the body as the earth, so you don't need to run 2 cables off it. As long as you earth the negative to the body of the van, you can take earth off anywhere off the body, so which isn't an issue. So I'm going to run these up in parallel, and then it's ready to go in there. I'm going to link it on the floor and take all the cables off, and then once it's in the van, I'll relink them back up. Otherwise you have to carry all 3 of them at the same time, which isn't going to work. Okay, so this part of the video I didn't want to skip. I don't want to show you the end result. I want to talk through what we're going to do here. So these are the terminal clamps that I've got, just box standard stuff. Now these I could fit this way and have the cables running side by side, but if this rubber was to come off and the box is going in, it's just clean stainless steel. If this shorts out, this is going to be about 1500 amps of discharge through that. It will not be a pretty sight. So I'm going to move these round so there's no chance of it hitting the bodywork, and then I'm going to go over and over onto the last one. Like I said, using jumper cables is the cheapest way to get this cable. If you try to buy it per meter, you will be spending an absolute fortune. So it doesn't look like it's soldered in, and I don't really want to shorten it, so I'm just going to use the cutters, just pry back where they're folded over the handle ends, and then we've got the whole thing out clean. I don't know if you can see how thick that cable is. You know, when you're trying to draw a lot of amps and run a lot of things, you need heavy duty cable. I think this came from eBay. Off the top of my head, I can't remember how much it was. If I get a chance to have a look at it, I'll just put the price at the bottom. So the idea now is to put a crimp terminal on there, and then move over to the next one, and then the next one. And then on the negative side, it doesn't matter where that is, because if it touches the body, the body's negative anyway. So this one we could probably go on the side, so we don't have to do a lot of folding and bending, because that actually wastes cabling instead of just going straight. But on the positive side, got to be very mindful. If it's going to touch something, then you know, safety is paramount. To put terminals on there, I've got this hydraulic press for big terminals like this. But everyone's going to have one of these, so you're going to have to try and do it the best way you can. Right, in this kit I only had one angled terminal, which was no good to me because I need 6, because I need to do the other side as well. Thankfully my brother's a jointer, he runs his own business, so I've had to just go see him and get some more bigger terminals to crimp on. I do have some other ones here, but they're absolutely tiny, which is no good. This is quite an ancient tool which he gave me many years ago, but I've just seen it and he's given me a later tool to use. He's never used it. Looks like he might have used it once. So he said I could keep this here, so we're going to utilise this one now. That's retired. I've only got one with an angle on it, so these other ones will have to be bent to get them to be more of an angle. So that's quite neat. Right. I'm going to do all this off camera because it's going to take a while to do, and then we'll come back. Right, there we go. So all the loops are done, one to the other. I've put heat shrink on these ones, not on these ones because they're earths. I do have some over there black, but it doesn't need it. Right, up here I've just run a red cable in there. This is temporary because it isn't going to be this small, but we're only running the heating system. So that's going to go onto the positive side of the battery. I'll create another lead just to go to the tank, so it's earthed, and then that's me down under here. So take the batteries and put them inside, and then we can quickly wire up that fuse box, put an earth to it and onto the chassis, and then this red live will go to that, and then we'll add the compressor and the heater to it. I've still got to stick the exhaust on it and the intake pipe, and also the ducting to go inside under the floor. Haven't decided where I'm going to put that yet, so when I bring it down I'll have a look inside. Okay, so I've just fitted the exhaust, so that's over here, and I've got the intake going into it. All I need to do now is get these batteries in, power it up. Right guys, it's taken me 8 weeks to try and finish this video off. The trip was done, that's over. Van's back on the ramp again. I didn't do any video in the van, I left my video camera behind. Why have I got the heater in my hand? I'll tell you that in a minute. When I went to Anglesey, I put the bike on the back, air suspension, worked flawlessly. A bit of a faff pumping it up because nothing's plumbed in properly, or the electrics aren't done. So that was all good. Heater. Spent all that time putting the heater on. By the time I got out of here, got home, something to eat, grabbed my clothes, cleaned up, got to Anglesey, it was 1 AM. The heater, you saw me fit the heater, but now it's in my hand. The heater didn't work. I didn't get a chance to try it out before I left. Got all the way to Anglesey. Doesn't matter how much I tried, it wasn't working. Following day, I did my track event. In the evenings, climbed under there, couldn't see a problem, couldn't suss out why the heater system wasn't working. But before I left, remember when I showed you when I got this out of the box, we had no bracket for it. What I didn't realise, there was no cabling for it either. I'm pretty sure whoever bought this before nicked some bits out of it, sent it back. I ended up with it, opened the box to do one of my earlier videos to say, we bought one. But I didn't check to see if the components were in there. So a year had gone by and it was impossible to, call the guy who sold it to me and say, bits were missing. So I had to buy another one to get the cable in for it. But although I had the cables on it still wasn't working. As it transpired, whoever had bought this and sent it back nicked the glow plug out of it, so there was no glow plug for it to work. The wiring was missing. I had to buy a different controller in the end because the wiring wasn't compatible to the one I'd already ordered. Absolute faff. So the pump wasn't working, so I had no fuel running up to it. Anyway, it's done. I've tested it. It works. Even when I came back and got that sorted out, I'd come here in the morning and the heater was running. 2 days in a row, I had the heater running, and what had happened, it'd gone on to auto. Thankfully, it was up in the air and didn't catch anything on the ground that might have caught fire. So yeah, it was a bit scary, but it's just one of those things that you learn your system as you go along. But yeah, it was quite warm and toasty in there, but because I had the sliding door open, you wouldn't get the temperature to turn off, so it ran and ran for quite a while. So I have no idea how much fuel it's burnt. I'll know after a top up. So enough with the rant. We're going to close this video now, so you can enjoy it, and hopefully may have a new mechanic starting next month. Should take some of the pressure off. And you see behind me the amount of bikes we've got. It's bike season, so we're crazy busy. Not enough staff. Unfortunately, the motor trade's this way. It's about 16,000 mechanic shortfall across the country, and the only way to get a mechanic is to steal them from another garage. But you know, most of the garages around here, so the last thing you want to do is fall out with another garage. They send us enough work as it is. All the fast fit places send us work, so you don't want to fall out with people. But hopefully I've got someone starting that will take some of the pressure off, and then we can get back onto some of these projects that I've got to try and get on with, including my bikes. The Aprilia RS660, which I don't know if you guys watched that video where I put a short can on it. So loud. I had issues in Spain with noise. That's going to have to be alleviated, otherwise I can't use it for track days in the UK, so I have to put a quieter exhaust on it. As of right now, using my Gixxer, just got a standard exhaust collector on it and a short pipe, but it's quite enough to manage UK tracks. But I'll have to call it a day here. See you on the next one, guys. Take care.